Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio today is Clinton City Administrator Tony Harris as we follow up the Tuesday night Clinton City Council meeting. Tony, you bracing for the storms?
It sounds like it's coming.
Yeah. You know, days like this, back in your EMA CENTCOM days, these would probably be the crazy days.
Those were the crazy days, and I hate to say it, I kind of look forward to it so I can get some radio time.
I remember when I was working for you, and I don't know if weather was coming or what, or if something happened, and it was just chaos in there. And I remember you talking, and you had the biggest smile on your face. You were like, "I used to love taking this third station. I'm directing all these things and just getting back in the pilot seat, in the CENTCOM office."
I did love it. I didn't get in the seat very often, but when bad weather or a large event would take place, then I would open up that third console, and I loved every minute of it, as you mentioned.
Yep, for sure. Well, different role for now for you, and I'll tell you what, Tony. Let's dive into the meeting last night, and first of all, highlight one of the. For a lot of folks, they've probably known about this for a while. Rennie Kluver, the Y executive director on our show on Monday, called it the worst kept secret. And to a degree, he's right. The YMCA has, for a year and a half so here, been pursuing a new facility and fundraising for that. And they, kind of went public this week with it. Like I said, with Rennie on the show Monday and then their presentation to the council on Tuesday. Just your first reactions, as they went public with this.
Well, first off, it's very exciting to see what's going on in the city of Clinton, and that's just part of it. I think it was my second week on the job. I've been here, about a year and a half, and I had a meeting with Rennie, and we met at the library, and we looked across the street at the proposed site, and he showed me the plans, and that was very exciting. And he talked about, the finances and how they were going to raise the money and that, and raising a lot of, that was a lot of money they had to raise. And I thought, man, that's going to be difficult to, sit here now and looking at what they've done and how much money they've raised and they're ready to go. That's very exciting. And I think that it complements what we're trying to do downtown. I think that with them being at that location there off of Center Street is just going to add to what we're doing downtown and bring people in the area, in the downtown area. So it's exciting, and they've done a great job raising the money, and kudos to them. Rennie mentioned last night that he's looking at the city to provide some assistance. Now, what is that going to look like? I don't know. He brought up a couple different areas that the city could help. One being the TIF district, and again, that we've talked a lot about the TIF district. We're not for sure. We know about where the boundaries are going to go. He brought that up last night. I need to check the map and see if that area is included. If it's not, that's a good talking point. We might need to get that area included. The question is, how can that help? TIF is the biggest part of TIF. It helps with the purchase of land for businesses or not-for-profit. So the land's being leased to them, so it won't help with that. But we want to partner with the Y because it's going to help the city too. But to what level, we're just not sure. That's going to have to be a discussion on the council level and see what kind of assistance we can provide. It's no secret we've got a budget for a new police department, fire department, city hall. So, we're going to be spending a lot of money for those. How much financially are we going to be able to assist the YMCA? We're just not sure. So I think that the TIF district is going to be the biggest part of this to see if we can help with that. And,
Gotcha.
And we're definitely going to start working off this afternoon. We're going to start checking into that and see if we can, add that to the area if it's not already in there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You mentioned a couple of things, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. This is one of those things where it's just another thing, another development in all the happenings in Clinton between, housing, the plans for housing, economic growth and all these things that you're working on behind the scenes. Tony, I know you're a busy man these days. This is just another in a long list of good things that's being worked on in Clinton right now.
It is. And it's a little bit frustrating for me. I've been in I've worked in local government my entire life, but not in a role like I'm in now. And I've always heard that the wheels turn slow in government,
I knew this is where you were going.
that is a true statement. It really is.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like I'm on here and talking about all these good things and what's coming, and yet we still haven't seen a shovel in the ground yet. But I promise the citizens it is coming.
Yeah, yeah.
We just had some we had a land deal that was closed on a new business that might be coming to town. Again, we're in the very early stages of that and can't give a whole lot of details, but it's coming. And I'm hoping that this summer we're going to start really seeing some activity. Now it's just trying to purchase the land and those type of things.
Yeah,
And that's kind of a challenge in itself, and that's one reason why we're doing what we're doing. One thing on the agenda was annexation of land to the west, in that area where we want to see growth.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Out there by Sunset Inn, and we're also on the agenda that was on file was to purchase some land out there on Sunrise Court because we want to see development there.
Are you at liberty to say yet what that is?
I'm not. I spoke with the potential business owner yesterday about that, and he asked not to. They had. I don't know. I'm not sure if they even got it closed yesterday. There's one little thing that had to get worked out, but I'm not at liberty. I'm hoping the next time we meet, I'll be able to give some details on that.
Cool,
but
cool.
It's very exciting, and and I'm glad you mentioned it. It's very exciting, and let's just hope this summer we see some shovels in the ground and really see some activity going on.
Yeah. The other piece there, I supporting the why in this effort, from a TIF district standpoint, I'm sure that would be beneficial to them, but also just financially, is there any appetite for the city to support the YMCA financially in this effort?
I think that's going to be a big topic of discussion. That's where Clint, our treasurer, is going to have to come in and tell us, what do the books look like? We during the budget negotiations, the mayor and I talked to Clint about, it's no secret, the new fire department, city hall, police department. The mayor is committed to getting those three things going. Especially the fire department. She mentioned last time we were in that, we've been kicking that can down the road for many, many years. So she's committed to that. With that commitment takes a lot of finances to make that happen. So, we might be limited there on what we can provide, but there's other things. One thing that was brought up was, the tapping into the water and sewer, those type of fees, assistance with that, assistance with some road work or sidewalk work. There's lots of ways that we can help. And Commissioner Wise mentioned that last night, just what I mentioned. He's the one that brought that up. So they're talking about, a one-way street, Johnson Street and Macon Street. That's something that we can do to help too. That's been discussed in the past. Last year that was discussed. So, there's just going to have to be a lot of discussion going on about that, on the council level, just to see what the appetite is and how much assistance we can provide.
Sure. One thing that Rennie talked about here in studio with us, and he mentioned a little bit last night at the meeting, was, the opportunity for drawing people into Clinton for youth sports events. I know they've got their, I think they've got their collegiate triathlon that they do at the lake. So the why trying to get people into their facility for these events and such. How about that side of the economic side of the, people coming to Clinton for these things?
That's great. It just goes along with what we're working on now with economic development. I mean, there's Kurt Homan's been in here talking about the hotel study, what you mentioned with bringing different folks in from out of town on, at the YMCA with the events going on. They may want to stay overnight. So we're working on that aspect of it. And, Kurt should be getting that study back anytime here in a couple of weeks, I believe. And we'll know what that looks like. But I mean, I think that's great. And again, I think that's going to help the downtown area. I'm hoping that, that with the YMCA being there and, a block off the square, that's going to promote some growth there too. We're tearing down the building there on the corner of Main and Monroe. What's going to happen there? Well, the first step was get those buildings down that were beyond repair and just see what happens with that. We have no plans for that right now. Right now we're concentrating on making sure we're not, with that demo anyway, making sure that we are not creating problems for the neighboring buildings, like flood problems. So we're in the middle. We just got approved last night also the waterproofing of the surrounding buildings. We want to make sure, because of that demo, that we're not creating a water problem there. So that's one thing that was approved last night as well. So with that being said, we with the YMCA going there and that being torn down, that building, and what growth could happen right there, we're just not sure, but it's going to be open and ready to go.
Sure. Very good. Anything else on the YMCA stuff, Tony, you want to put out there for us?
Well, I do want to say I appreciate the hard work that Rennie has done, and the board members. I talked to one of the board members last night, and he's excited about the things going on. I'm on a couple of different boards with him, DC board, and it's very exciting what they're doing. And I just want to say thank you. And they've done a great job in raising the money, and it's going to be exciting to see what's coming.
I think so. Very good. Well, on that note, Rennie, Tony, let's take a break and come back with some more. Tony Harris, City Administrator for the City of Clinton, our guest in studio today as we follow up the Tuesday night Clinton City Council meeting. More to come with Tony on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW. Gather your family and friends for the 2026 Piatt County Fair in Cerro Gordo this Thursday through Sunday, June 18th through 21st. Thursday, the Carnival, Beer Barn, and vendors open at 5, with Rockin' Randy performing at 6. Friday includes the Dairy Show at 9, Stone Cold Cowboys at 8, and fireworks at dusk, sponsored by the Cerro Gordo Village Board and the Cerro Gordo Legion, SAL, and Auxiliary. Saturday morning, the Swine Show begins at 9. At 3, the Scoville Mobile Zoo opens, followed by the Tot Rod Pull at 4 and the ITPA Pull at 6. Then it's Andy Reuter live on stage at 8 p.m. Sunday morning features the Beef Cattle Show at 9, followed by the Andy Bolson Memorial Outlaw Hookers Antique Tractor Pull at 11. Made possible with the support of the Bolson and Castile families and many others. Don't miss the fun this weekend at the Piatt County Fair in Cerro Gordo. See you at the fair.
This is Seth Lawrence, station manager for the Heart Media Group here in Clinton. We take pride in being Clinton and Central Illinois' local radio stations each and every day, 7 days a week. What does local news mean? Here's a sample.
Yeah, we did receive a grant. It's a sizable grant. It was $50,000.
Trying to get some additional personnel for the fire department.
You can sign up anytime that summer reading is going on, which is May 30th through July 31st.
What I'm really concerned about is losing local control over what happens with data centers.
But then what we're finding for e-bikes, there's different classes of e-bikes.
You hear the local people that make the news every day, 7 days a week. Follow WHOW on Facebook and Instagram to see the faces behind the voices and stay connected to your local community on WHOW and WEZC.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, my guest in studio today, Tony Harris, City Administrator for the City of Clinton. And Tony, taking a look at the agenda from the Tuesday night meeting, let's run down a few things going on here. Let's talk street light poles for the square. What's going on here?
I believe those are the poles that need to be, the light poles that need to be replaced on the west entrance of the square. That was approved last night to be replaced. If you remember, I believe that was discussed during late last year, during the Christmas season, that they couldn't hang Christmas lights on it because of the structure of the poles. They wouldn't support that. So we knew that was coming, that needed to be replaced. So that was approved last night to get those replaced. And that, I think, goes right along with our street department developer, Steve Lobb. He and I had a discussion that we're going to concentrate on that. And then we're going to start looking at maybe next budget cycle, talk about replacing some of the other street poles and lights, maybe make those, there's different kinds of ideas that I have on the lighting that would just kind of make the square more attractive. I mentioned it at the last meeting that I was in. Our Mr. Lincoln Square, we're very fortunate to have that, and I think we need to really start utilizing that. And with this project, it's just one step closer to even keep it going with better lighting and things like that.
Can I tell you a quick story?
Sure.
I met a friend from out of town at Snappers on Sunday, and he hadn't been to downtown Clinton ever. And he said, "This is very nice." He goes, "This totally changes my perception of Clinton." Like,
that's good to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, literally, that's what he said. Very, very just good dude. Yeah. So I thought that was telling that he made that comment.
That's good to hear. You go around the square and you look at the center, the Mr. Lincoln stage. I mean, we are very fortunate to have that, but it's underutilized. I mean, and we're trying to change that. I mentioned last time I was in, the 2 concerts, working on a third that we're going to have up there this summer. But next year, we're really going to hopefully utilize it a lot more. I don't know if it's going to be every weekend, but we're going to shoot for a couple of events every month on the square. So underutilized, and we're going to start working on that.
All right, very good. So looking forward to what's to come on Mr. Lincoln Square. For now, light poles getting replaced. Let's dive into annexation of land to the city of Clinton. I know you maybe briefly mentioned this in our last segment, Tony, but just what's going on with this?
Again, that's on the west side that we're looking to grow. That's a property west of US Highway 51 in that area. We annex that into the city, just so it's in the city, and if there's any kind of growth going that way, that it's already annexed in the city. We've already got, due to a grant that was worked on several years ago, we were able to stub water and sewer across the highway. So the goal is to get that developed west, and we've got that one piece that's now in the city, and the new TIF district that I've talked about, that's going to be out that way as well. And it's going to also, that new parcel is going to be in the TIF district. So any kind of growth, any kind of development, would benefit from the TIF district there. So that's the whole goal, is to get that west side, get some development there.
Sure. Let's dive into ordinance for purchase of real estate. What's this all about, Tony?
As I mentioned earlier, that's the real estate along Sunrise Court. Basically, the goal was to purchase that real estate from the current owner, so it's owned by the city, and we have more leverage in developing that. Again, I think I mentioned at the last meeting, part of this fourplex retail business that is still in the very early stages. Our hope is it's going to go out there, and the hope is that once that goes out there, then there might be some more interest in developing. So, those lots have been there for a long time, not seeing a lot of activity. So the hope is that since, if we own those lots, we would have more leverage to offer offerings, and being in the TIF district there, so we can, promote more development in that area. So that's the goal. That's the reason why we're buying those lots.
Okay. It came up last night. A resident came forward asking about where potential police, fire, city hall locations would go. Some speculation at this point that land has been designated for those spots. How about that, Tony?
Well, the mayor and I talked about this the last couple of times we've been on. The mayor's goal is to make an announcement by the end of the month on the location of those 3: City Hall, Police Department, and Fire. As of right now, we still have not bought any land. We've not got any kind of agreement on any location. So we are still not definitely for sure where those are going to land. What's ironic, the landowners are paying attention. They're listening to these interviews because location for the fire department. I was contacted by 4 different landowners. Hey, I've got land to offer up. So we're not concentrating on just one piece of ground. Okay. Like what may be out there. We're not exactly for sure yet. We're still looking around. We've not bought any land yet. We're in negotiations we have been for some time with 4 different landowners for the fire department. That's just for the fire department. So we're still looking at that. But there's been no activity on that. And, we've got a meeting scheduled today. Oh, and the mayor, I talked to her after the meeting last night, and she did want me to mention, we want to hear from the public. If someone's got some ideas, we think we know what we need for the fire department. We need an entire block to really make that work. So if we're open to suggestions, we're open to, if anybody has any different ideas, contact the mayor, contact me, contact the commissioner, and we'll definitely look into it. But there's been no commitment yet.
Sure. Quickly, do we know a budget number or what's available for these projects?
We were given a budget number, but I don't want to give that budget number because it's just off the cuff of our treasurer on what we think we can afford for all three of those. But we're still looking at it. We're still looking at the book. So we've got a number, but we're not sure exactly if there's more that we can make happen with that number to make it grow.
Fair enough. Very good. Well, Tony, always good to see you, my friend. Stay safe today, and we'll catch you next month. Tony Harris, City Administrator for the City of Clinton, in studio with us. Network News coming your way next on The Morning Show.
WHOW.